Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today we're in the Mojave Desert, and we're going to talk about the new Toyota Landcruiser, the U.S. Landcruiser, aka the Toyota Landcruiser 250, aka the Toyota Landcruiser Prado. So bottom line is, Toyota's bringing back the Landcruiser to the U.S. market after removing it for a few years. But there's something interesting, and that is this. Toyota essentially consolidated a bunch of platforms, and the GX550, so the new GX that's going to be coming out in 2024, has the same wheelbase as the full-size Landcruiser 300 in the world market. So essentially, what even is the new Landcruiser coming to the U.S. market? And what is the GX550? Does this mean they really, did they get rid of the GX? In a way they did, because this GX that I'm in, the current generation GX460, aka the Landcruiser Prado, has a shorter wheelbase than the full-size Landcruiser. And that was the whole point that set it apart. This is a short wheelbase Landcruiser. Well, now the Lexus has released the info on the GX550, which is the Landcruiser Prado in the world market, and it has the same wheelbase, like I just said, as the full-size Landcruiser. So when Toyota brings to the U.S. market the U.S. spec Landcruiser, whether they call it the Landcruiser or the Prado or anything in between, my point of all this rambling, and I know I'm rambling, is that the wheelbases now are all the same. There is no more short wheelbase Landcruiser. So this essentially means that the Prado's dead and the GX is dead. And I mean dead insofar as the wheelbase is concerned. Now, if you don't think the wheelbase is anything important or anything blah, 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 keep in mind that the whole point of the Prado was to be a short wheelbase Landcruiser, so you'd maneuver better off-road and be a little bit narrower and have tight trails. If you think a short wheelbase doesn't mean anything, keep in mind that this vehicle, the Lexus GX460, has a shorter wheelbase than a Jeep Wrangler Rubicon. I know you might look at this or the 4Runner, which has the same frame as this GX460, and say, well, definitely that just this GX or a 4Runner would have a way bigger wheelbase than a Jeep Wrangler Rubicon, but it doesn't. This wheelbase is actually shorter, and that's part of the reason why it makes it so maneuverable off-road, particularly the breakover angle. Oh. There it is. This is straight up. So let's bring her straight up. Try at the high center. Ready? Let's do it. Try to. Yeah. Now, without getting into too much details about breakover angles, this and the other, let's go back to what this new Landcruiser, this Toyota Landcruiser, is going to be when it comes to the U.S. market. Because Toyota has always been stuck between a rock and a hard place, and that is simply this. They bring the Landcruiser to America, and pretentious Americans go, I'm not paying that much for a Toyota. I'm not paying that much for a peasant vehicle. Why would I pay $120,000 for just a Toyota? In the U.S. market, Americans just don't get it. Or you could say it another way, they're just pretentious and they want a badge. And Lexus and Toyota, of course, know this. Now, this is different in the world market where Toyotas are known to be high-end vehicles.
There's this one car that no matter where you go in Qatar, it seems to be always there. Toyota Land Cruiser is certainly one of the most ubiquitous cars in Qatar.
بالنسبة لللاند كروزر في قطر هي عبارة عن سبيكة ذهب.
Not so. Some standy stuff here. Not so in the U.S. market. Toyota, I don't want to say has a stigma for being cheap, but it's struggled with the luxury badging, or let's just say it's struggled with justifying a higher price, which is why the Landcruiser 200 was pulled from the market a couple years ago, the U.S. market. So people whined and said, we want the Landcruiser back, even though the Landcruiser didn't sell, because people said, I'm not paying that much for a Toyota. So getting back to this rock and a hard place, what changed? Did Toyota change, or did the U.S. market change? Now I'm going to speculate and say that the U.S. market didn't change. People are still going to go into a Toyota dealership and go, I'm not paying that much for a Toyota, so when they bring the new Landcruiser here. So something had to give. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is what gave. And that's getting into what I'm rambling about, is this new Landcruiser 250. So the world market gets the Landcruiser 300. The old one was the Landcruiser 200. Now we get something in between called the 250. But the wheelbases on all these frames, this Toyota TNGA-F platform, are all the same. So we know it's going to be based on the same frame and size as the normal Landcruiser 300 in the world market. So what's going to change to make it sell? My guess is that they're going to stuff a 4-cylinder engine in it. And this has kind of been confirmed, kind of has, kind of hasn't, but that's the gist of it. In order to make the Toyota Landcruiser be sellable here in America, they got to put a 4-banger in it, and they'll put the 2.4 liter turbo with the hybrid max setup. Basically a turbo 4-cylinder engine with I think it has either an 8 or 10 speed transmission with an electric motor assist. The electric motor is sandwiched in between, and it essentially boosts all gears, and it's constantly regenerating the batteries that run the motor, blah, blah, blah. This powertrain is nothing new. It's been out for a while now, but it's very efficient. But that's when I think, how will they make this sellable? In other words, how will they make people not whine about the price? They've got to ditch the V6 twin turbo engine that's in the world market Landcruiser in order to make it affordable. Furthermore, to Americans. Furthermore, we know that the Lexus GX550 is getting the twin turbocharged V6. So how do you not cause internal what's the word, cannibalism between between the same brand? You know, how do we get Lexus buyers to buy the GX versus the Toyota Landcruiser 250? You know, so the sell of the GX550 is going to be, well, you get, not only do you get luxury, but you get this awesome, powerful twin turbo V6 engine. So in order to make it cheaper than a GX550, they've got to put a smaller, cheaper engine in the Landcruiser 250 that's going to come to the American market, and in the world market, I'm sure they'll just call this 250 the Landcruiser Prado. Bottom line is, it's just going to have a smaller engine. But as far as the footprint and frame of these vehicles, the 4Runner, the GX, the Prado, and the Landcruiser now all have the same frame. You know, it's frame consolidation. So it can't be a difference in wheelbases anymore. It's got to be a difference in the core features. So I think what we're going to see on the Landcruiser 250 in America is the 2.4 hybrid max 4-banger, and they're going to get rid of some of the luxury. I hope Toyota keeps the core off-road features from the Landcruiser 300 GR Sport, which is the front locker, the center locker, and the rear locker, triple locked, and then all the MTS and all that good stuff. What I hope Toyota cuts back on is all the luxury stuff that will be in the GX 550. So all the Lexus trim stuff, the triple thick glass, the Mark Levinson stereo, you know, all the bells and whistles. I think they're going to scale that back to make the Landcruiser 250 more affordable. Because remember, they can't cannibalize 4Runner sales, which again now is going to be based on the same frames. All these are the same frame. You know, so they know in America 4Runner is a cash cow. So they don't want to cannibalize highly profitable 4Runner sales. So they got to they got to make the Landcruiser more expensive and give you a bunch of stuff, but not as much the GX550, which will give you even more stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how they trim everything out.
So there's no clear point to my ramblings. This is just rambling. But I think it's very interesting to note, again, that the Landcruiser 250 is going to share a platform with a bunch of other vehicles. The Landcruiser 300, the Landcruiser 250, the GX 550, the Toyota Tacoma, the Toyota Tundra, and the Toyota Sequoia. So 6 vehicles now are on this same TNGA-F platform, and it's going to be interesting to see the differences between each vehicle and how Toyota is trimming them out. In the past, these 6 vehicles, relatively speaking, have been on different platforms.
I think they're going to make the Toyota Landcruiser 250 essentially not Lexus quality, but you're going to have a lot of the bells and whistles. You're not going to get this awesome Mark Levinson stereo system. You're not going to get the wood wheel. You're not going to get the triple thick glass. You'll get a few bells and whistles because it's still a Landcruiser, but they're not going to go all out. and what they're gonna save that for is for people who want the Lexus GX 550. So, in a nutshell, to sum all this up, if you want to know what the new Toyota Land Cruiser is going to be like, it's not going to be as trimmed out and high end as far as the creature comforts and the fit and finish as a Lexus GX 550, but it's essentially going to be the same exact vehicle. And so will the 4Runner, and so will the Prado, because they're all on the same platform now. As I keep repeating, I know I'm blabbing, but these frames used to be different, and these wheelbases, most importantly, used to be different. But they pulled a whole consolidation here. So when you buy a GX, you're getting the wheelbase of a full-on 4Runner GX 550 now. You're not getting this shorter than a Rubicon wheel brace that we got on this GX 460 that I'm in now. They're all getting the same wheelbase. So these differences have to be more thought out and a little bit more, careful, is what I'm trying to say, because you can't make the wheelbase argument. Essentially, it's all the same vehicle. Sorry about my rambling. It's just exciting and interesting that the full-size Land Cruiser and the 4Runner and the GX and all these vehicles, I keep repeating myself, are all on the same platform. So, and that could be exciting to some people, because you essentially are, if you get a 4Runner, you're getting the same exact frame. Once the new 4Runner comes out, you're getting the same frame as a full-on Land Cruiser. You want a GX, you're getting the full-on frame as a Land Cruiser. And then you have some people who love the short wheelbase of this GX 460 that see that as a downside. I see it as a slight downside. I love the smaller, narrower, shorter wheelbase of this GX 460. But anyway, the Toyota Land Cruiser 250 is going to be most likely a Turbo 4 hybrid with everything except that Lexus fit and finish. And I do hope that they bring over, again, all the off-road features, because you're going to get the front rear locker and all the MTS controls, blah, blah, blah. So that's going to essentially give us, when you think about it, it's going to give what people have always begged for over and over, which is, why can't we get in America? Why can't we get an affordable Land Cruiser like the world market gets? In other words, just put a bare bones, no bells and whistles, but give us all the off-road features. And that's what they're kind of doing. However, Toyota knows that they can make even more profit with the 4Runner by skimming back even more of those off-road features, get rid of the center diff, get rid of the front locker, get rid of KDSS, get rid of some of the MTS, and then they could still sell it to people who want an off-roady type of vehicle or are never going to off-road, and they're going to have this huge profit margin. As I keep saying, 4Runner is a cash cow. So it'll be interesting to see how they space these trims out in a way that doesn't cannibalize other trims within the company offerings. All right, that's the ramblings for today. It's going to be exciting either way, but if you want the full-on package, you're going to have to get the Lexus GX 550 in the Overtrail edition. That's going to offer you more than the upcoming Land Cruiser 250 in the U.S. market. All right, I think I've rambled enough. All right, if you found this video helpful, please remember to like and subscribe. Thank you. Have a great day.